Hi everybody, it's me, Just Artful, and today we're going to be making creature nails. In order to make creature nails, we are going to make dough. The ingredients for the dough are flour, water, a bowl, and a spoon. We'll also be needing cinnamon for this project. To start our dough, we're going to be putting some flour into a bowl, which I have already done. You don't need a lot of flour since we're using it on our nails, and meaning you don't need a lot of dough. So I've put this much flour into my bowl, and now I'm going to take my water, and you do not need a lot of water. 3 drops would probably be enough. If you feel that there's not enough water, add more. If you feel like there's too much, add flour. I'm going to slowly pour some water. Taking my spoon, I'm going to just knock my flour down there, and now mixing. You will soon see clumps forming, and once you get all the flour together, you will then be forming dough. Clean off your spoon while stirring, as it gets a lot of flour and clumps stuck to it, and it won't help you stir. Add more flour and water if necessary. So once mixed, I feel like there is not enough flour, so I'm going to add a little bit of flour, which means I'll also need to be adding a little bit more of water. Adding just this much. I added a little bit more water and have created my dough. This is my dough, and this is the consistency you should have. You want it to be slightly sticky so that it can adhere to your fingers, but not too much that it will get stuck to your fingers as you're molding it. So this is the right consistency for my dough, so I'm going to start doing my nails. In order to do my nails, I'm just going to pull off a little piece of dough. You will need more or less depending how long you want your nail to be. So I'm going to, if there's a stickier side of your dough, make sure you apply that to your nail and have the drier side facing it towards you. So I'm going to apply this to my nail, and you will need to push it down in order for it to stick. And now we're going to start shaping. So once you get it applied to your finger, you want to push down harder towards your cuticle in order for more secureness and for it to look realistic. So it's allowed to be thinner towards your cuticles, but make sure it's also stick really good to your actual finger too. Now this works with short nails or long nails. However, if you have long nails, it is easier for you to make the nail appear longer than if you had really short nails. So now that it's in here, I'm going to be now taking the sides and slightly pushing outwards, then pushing down again and pushing outwards. This is pushing the dough forwards and making it also look realistic so that we can make it look pointy. You also want to put one of your other fingers below so that it's flat at the bottom and is not curving onto your finger. And you want to repeat this as many times in order to get your look. You will also be making a point, like a triangle, at the end of your nail, and then flattening out. You'll have to do this multiple times in order for it to become long and pointy and flat as well. If you feel like you are not secure in your fingernail, you can add a slightly more dough for it to become a little thicker, which will also make it stay on. Just make sure that you push it down enough so that it is blended with the other dough, so it doesn't look like a dot on your nail. And continue making your nail. You also, on your tip, your point, you don't want it to be super sharp or else it will look unrealistic. You want it to have a slight roundness to it. And you can also have a slight curve for a more fierce look. Or completely straight for more. Or you can have it completely straight if you prefer that. You also want to make sure it's not thin where your nail meets, where your nail ends and the dough by itself starts. You want to make sure that is thick or else the dough will start falling and be very curved. You also want your edges to be straight. You can achieve this by lightly pushing your finger against the sides, and it should get rid of any bumps that you might have created. Today I'm going to be curving my nails so it looks more like a creature, but you can have it straight too. If you decide on curving the nail, you want to apply a little bit more dough where your nail ends because since you're curving it, you don't want to create a break. So just apply a very, very little bit of pretty much it should be in the middle where your nail ends and just massage that in. Once you've added that small piece of dough to your curve, you want to make sure that it is really blended out as possible as you can so that it looks more natural. Now that I've completed my nail, I'm going to be using some cinnamon to make it look even more natural. So I'm just going to pour out a little bit of cinnamon. You do not need a lot. Use your finger and just pull up some. And then you're going to be applying this to the edge of your nail where your cuticle is. You want the most to be at your nail where the cuticle is. And then you're going to lightly ombre it out. You do not want to cover the whole thing in cinnamon, just the edge. This will make it look even more natural. As your nail is drying, there will be some cracks in it. It's very hard to prevent this, but don't worry, your nail will still look great afterwards. Here is the finished product. I finished doing my whole hand in these dough nails and added the cinnamon to all of them. They all have a slight curve, as you can see. I decided to make the curve on my thumb a little more dramatic, just so it looked a lot more like claws. I also added a little bit more cinnamon, just so that the color would stand out. Now, even though these nails do look gorgeous, they are temporary. They should last a couple hours. If you are careful, they can last a little bit longer than a couple hours. It really depends on how much you're using your hands and what you're doing with them, that if they will come off sooner or later.